Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. You are listening to the fourth episode of the Train More Play Less podcast. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Jason Garcia. Today, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. We've been having a lot of questions come in that we want to cover all of them. We know that Wednesday is the answers edition, but today we're going to cover two questions that we believe are very, very important to cover. So, Jason, why don't we get right into the first question? First question came in and says, Jason, can you tell us which programs are doing things the right way throughout the country?
Yeah, I want to talk about this a little bit just so everyone understands. Our goal is not to, point people out or make people look bad. That's not what we're trying to do here with this podcast. So, we do want to give out information. We do want to educate. We do feel something's wrong with our sport. Things are going on that we feel are not right. But at the same time, we're not trying to tell you what programs are doing it wrong, what programs are doing it right. We just want to give information and educate people to where they can make their own decisions on what they feel, fits their family and fits their needs, and then, they could choose programs. So that's not the goal, to make people look bad. But at the same time, we will educate you and give you as much information that we have, and then you guys can make the decision based off of that.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head. We're not doing this podcast to point fingers or to tell people, hey, you're doing things wrong. I want to make this very clear that this podcast is how can we better our youth? And we are evolving, you are evolving, you're always learning, I'm always learning, and that's why we're building the community around this podcast. So the tail end to that question that came in was, can you, Jason, educate us on what you're looking for within the youth and what you're seeing?
I would really just look and see how the other levels are doing it. So if I have kids that want to play high school baseball or play college baseball, I would really look into the high schools that are in your area or to the colleges that your kid, has interest in going to, and just look and see how they do things. And I'm not saying as far as, the technical part of it of what's being taught, like as far as how far kids should be hitting. I mean, there's a big difference between youth programs, the high school kids, and college. But I'm just thinking the outline. How are college kids being prepared? Do college kids have an off season? Yes, they do. Are they throwing? Are you going to see a college kid throw 8 innings one day and then go the next day and throw 8? You're never going to see that, right? So really looking into the high school, see how their coaches are running the program, see what they're focusing on in the off season, see what they're focusing on during the season. Look into what the coach is actually teaching the kids, because the high school coaches are trying to teach them a certain platform so they could be able to move on and go to the college. And then the college are doing the same thing. They're trying to teach them a set of skills and a platform so they can move on to the pro. So everyone has a job to do. And I think as parents, we need to just really look into those levels and see what are they doing. And then trying to find a program in your area that mimics those programs at the youth age. And again, I'm not saying, how the technical part of throwing hard or like all the stuff that they're doing with those adults. I'm just talking about the outline. Are they teaching the kids how to wear the uniform, right? Are they making sure that the kids hustle? Are they talking to them about the all that kind of stuff, respecting the game? Do they care about the kids? Do they have an off season? Are they spending time into those kids where they're saying, hey, listen, Johnny, you're not fast, and I know I have to get you fast so you can continue to play at the next level, which is high school. Are those programs doing that type of stuff? Mm-hmm. Are they invested in you? Because the parents are invested in those programs. They're spending money. I think anytime that you spend money and you're showing up to practice and you're doing those things, you're showing that program or those coaches that you're invested, right? You're 2 feet in. We trust you with our kid to get us to the next stage, right? And I think parents really need to start taking the time. Don't worry about if they're winning. Don't worry about how many tournaments or what tournaments certain people are going to and you have to go to that tournament. Just worry about what those coaches are doing to get your kid to that next stage. And I think that's so important. I think we just get so caught up into what other people are doing through social media or what other teams are doing. The other team is not going to get your kid where he needs to go. Like, your kid has to be able to get himself ready to where he wants to go. And I think if the parents really say, hey, you know, this program is really committed to my kid, they're finding his weaknesses and turning them into strengths. They're taking care of my kid so he doesn't get injured. You know, they're really invested. I think that's a program that these parents need to get involved with.
Yeah, some parents just really need to get better at the due diligence process when finding a new program or finding a program. I mean, and I'm not just talking about how much playing time is my kid going to get, or, you know, are they improving him in baseball alone? It's so much bigger than baseball. I mean, you got to understand the philosophy behind the program, the standards behind the program, who the coaches are, what impressions are they giving your kids. And like I said, it's so much bigger than baseball. So I think that leads us into our next question is, how do you run your program?
Yeah, I'll go through the whole thing on, you know, from start to finish, what's going to happen in our program. So if a parent comes in here today and says, you know, they're interested in our program, they've heard great things. So I'm not quick to ask the parents for money. So our first thing that I tell the parents is, come to our practices, you know, for whatever, 2-3 weeks. I'm not going to charge you for our practices. I want to make sure that your kid can do what we do, you know, that he's going to like the discipline. He's going to like, I mean, we condition hard, the fast pace. I want to make sure that kid is going to be a fit for our program. Also, I want the parents to be able to decide if this program is a fit for their family life. You know, I don't want to waste anyone's time. I mean, time is money, you know, it's valuable. So that's the first thing. I'm not quick to ask for money. I want to make sure that these kids want to be here, you know, because there's a lot that goes into it from when they say, hey, we love it, we're going to commit. There's a lot that goes into it on the backside as far as getting uniforms made, you know, doing all that type of stuff. So when the kids, if they come in and they're not sure, usually they'll quit within a week or two. It's too tough and this is not for them. So I want to make sure that they're 2 feet in. And parents usually look at me like, wow, we get to practice with you, you know, for 2 weeks without pain, you know? And that's exactly what I tell them. I'm like, come train with us. Come train for 2 weeks. See what we're about. See what our staff's about. We could see how you are as a family. If you're going to be committed, are you going to show up to the practices? You know, so that's my first test. That's my first test. I'm not asking for any money. I want these people to get in our program and they can see what we're about.
I want to touch on that a little bit more because I think it's very important. You're pretty much giving the parents and the kids a test run to see if they like you, but also you're checking them out. So why do you do that?
I mean, I don't want to say, hey, oh, we're interested. Cool. Sign up today. Let's get your uniforms rolling. Let's start doing all this type of stuff. And then once the kid starts practicing with us, 2-3 weeks, he quits. Because I've had that in the beginning when I first started. It wasn't that quick of money, but I had kids just wanted to come here because of the program, whether it's hype or whatever, and then they would quit within a month.
For the wrong reasons.
Yeah, and like I said, this program's not for everyone, so I want to make sure that it's a fit at all levels before anyone's, you know, wasting time. I don't want, you know, parents spending money that, you know, it's gonna be wasted because a kid wants to quit. It's the same thing. We're putting so much time into it. I don't want our instructors' time to be wasted or, you know, our time to be wasted. So that's the first thing for us. That's the first step in our program, you know. And I would really, you know, I would tell parents, like, this is what they should do before entering a program. I would ask those programs, hey, I want to practice with your program for, don't even put a number on it. Hey, I want my kid to practice with you guys. I could see how you guys run stuff. My kid could see it. We could see if my kid even at this level to be in your program, even if he wants to do it. There's so many things to be able to evaluate and see if it's going to be a fit at all levels if you get into a program and start practice with them and start doing that type of stuff. So that's why we do it. If it works out and the parents love it, kid loves it, it's a good fit, you know. Now I sit down with the parents and the kid. So we'll sit down and everything that we preach, so everything that we say our program's about, it's on paper. So it's documented. So now I sit down with the family and we go over all our rules and expectations. So we have a player and parent packet that outlines all our program and all our rules, and then we have a coaches packet to where they know that our coaches are held to a certain standard. We read it, we go over it, and then I have the parent sign it and the kid sign it. And then what I do from there is I keep it in a file, on that kid's file, and now I can hold those parents and the kid accountable. So if parents are inside my dugout, which is one of our rules, I don't want any of our parents inside our dugout.
Mm-hmm.
If they start coming in my dugout, then I just kindly, after the game or where it's at, talk with them, say, hey, listen, this is one of our rules that we went over. You can't be in our dugout.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, whatever. We usually give them a couple of chances, a couple of mistakes. After that, then we'll sit down with the parents and just say, hey, listen, when we brought you in, we went over these standards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have to follow them, or it's just not going to be a fit.
Right.
So, like I said, and this is huge. I know we talked about this in a prior podcast, but this is huge because there's so many people, not just with baseball, but businesses or just anything. Everyone talks about what they're doing, right? Oh, this is what I'm going to do for you, or this is what I could provide you. This is the value that I have, that I'm, the value I'm offering. If it's not on paper, right? How are you going to hold these people to what you're saying,
mm-hmm.
right? Because then remember that one time you said this? Well, I don't remember saying that,
yeah.
right? So if it's documented and everyone's signing on it, now everybody could hold everybody accountable. It's just not me holding the parents and the kid accountable. They could hold me accountable,
mm-hmm.
and they could hold my coaches accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the best system.
So now you covered the due diligence process for the parents and for yourself. So now the kid is committed, the parents are committed, you're committed. Now what can they expect out of the program, and what are you and the coaching staff going to do?
Yeah, so what we're going to do as a coaching staff here is we're going to really evaluate the kid. I mean, because we all have weaknesses, and we really want to figure out what the kid's strengths are and what the kid's weaknesses are. Obviously, we still want to continue to work on his strengths, but we're really invested in the weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, the parents are investing in me to be able to get him to the next level,
mm-hmm.
whether it's high school or college. If I don't work on his weaknesses, the player's weaknesses, then I'm doing them a disservice, because the weaknesses are what's going to prevent the kid from going and continue to play baseball. So that's huge for us. So you mentioned Richard.
Mm-hmm.
This is a kid that came into our program, and I felt he was out of shape,
mm-hmm.
And that was preventing him from doing a lot of other things, whether becoming a better catcher, more athletically, playing the infield, moving around, running bases, everything. So we really attacked his diet. We attacked the lifestyle of, drinking soda, sugar, all that type of stuff. And I really told him, I said, listen, if you want to get the full, everything that we're trying to teach here,
mm-hmm.
you have to follow these guidelines. Like, we have to start eating right. We have to start working out. We have to start cutting back on what we're drinking, start drinking water.
Mm-hmm.
And you will lose a bunch of weight. You will get in shape, and I guarantee you will become a better baseball player in all the other areas, whether it's catching, infield, pitching, and everything. And this kid fully committed, obviously with the family, fully committed to what we are doing. Lost over, I think, 35 pounds.
Wow.
And that was a freaking dude. Like,
yeah, dude.
No one's calling him to play for their teams 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, everyone would want him to be on their team.
The kid has a broken arm, I think, right now, right? I show up to practice, and this kid is still in there doing everything the kids are doing. Obviously, I can't do some things with the arm, but there's no excuses. I mean, he's out there.
It's just like for us. When you start doing something, you start feeling good. It's like a drug. It's addicting, right? Mm-hmm. So you start going to the gym, you start seeing yourself in the mirror, you start seeing the results. All of a sudden, it becomes like, man, I want more. I want more. And that's how Richard is. Like, mm-hmm. Richard probably at that time never thought that he was going to have the body that he has today, or be as athletic as he is today. But that's just what we're about. Like, that's just us taking the time to really say, hey, listen, you're invested in us, we're invested in you. We're going to pick apart your kid, right? Not for the bad, for the good. Everyone has to be on the same page so no one gets hurt about what we're doing. And put that kid in a good situation. I mean, and let's forget about the baseball side. That kid is so much more confident. You know, take your shirt off and let's go run. He'll take his shirt off right now and let's go run, right? Before, probably not taking his shirt off to go run. So it's more than just the baseball side. It's confident for him in life,
100%.
you know. And you know that's what we're doing here when the kids come, and that's what we try to tell the parents and let them know, like, these stories. I mean, and he's not the only one. I mean, I have kids that play on our Americans team. That same thing. You know, kid didn't get picked up for, or wasn't even getting really looked at for the USA national team because he was too heavy. Even though the kid was one of the best kids at that time, just too heavy, couldn't run the bases, didn't look good in a uniform, and the kid didn't even play for, you know, our regular program. I called his parents up right away and said, hey, listen, if your kid wants to make this team, I'm telling you right now, you need to do this. And we've changed that kid. You know, so I think that's a big thing with our program is we tell the parents what we're going to do when we actually follow through and make sure that we do it because we're fully invested in them. This is the big reason why that we're creating the Train More, Play Less, right? For people to get this information because you see the question is, you know, educate us, let us know what's going on. So this is why we're doing it. You know, we're going to have people become a part of this so you're constantly getting this information, you know, because I could talk about our program all day long, from our off season to how many games our kids are playing to, you know, what's important to be able to, you know, still compete, still be competitive and still take care of yourself. But this is why we're doing it. So, you know, follow us, you know, on all our social media. When we get this website going, this is really why we want to get people involved, because we're going to be able to give you all the answers to these questions, show you guys training, give you our off-season program from start to finish. All this type of stuff is what we are doing this for.
And that wraps up episode 4 of the Train More, Play Less podcast. As always, follow us on Instagram at Train More, Play Less, and we will see you guys Wednesday for the Answers edition.